Filly, she's not getting played at all, but it's my money too. The buyers aren't really there. But on the main track last time, she had a nightmarish trip. Was very eager, was rank, just wouldn't settle down for Iram Diego, lost a bunch of ground, wound up very wide, switches riders this time. I mean, Iram Diego is a master at getting horses good trips, but I think the filly just didn't cooperate with him. Switches to Valdez Jimenez. I'm curious to see if It's My Money 2 runs well. On to the second race. I'm on the Asmussen bandwagon here in these first two races. This is a non-winners of two claimer going 1 mile. And one note, if you're using a program for your PPs, there was a mistake that's been corrected in the running line for October Surprise. He was not 15 lengths behind the leader at his first point of call last time. That was a typo. That's been fixed. He was only about 2.5 or 2 lengths off the lead at the first point of call. But nonetheless, I'm on the Asmussen bandwagon here in the early going, at least.
I'm on it too, Jim. October Surprise is going to be my top choice here. Taking a class drop in for the 62.50 tag tonight, coming from 15,000 last time out. Finished second in that race last time. That was a route race. Going to shorten it up a little bit from that mile and 16 to the 1 mile distance here. The horse does have a win at the mile, has a win out here at Lone Star Park as well. I think all these things add up to make October Surprise my top choice here in race 2. Second choice, I'll go with the number 3 in Ramah. This is a horse that I've picked a few times this year. I remember punching that button next to his name on the machine. Hadn't been able to pick up the win for me yet this meet, but does have some respectable finishes. I mean, the horse came out here and ran opening weekend, ran second just by a head, came back out, followed that up with a third-place finish, and then most recently another second-place finish as well. The horse knows how to get up there toward the front. I think that Ramah can get up there and hit the board. And then I took Radiant Kitten, the number 2, as my third selection here. I mean, you got to like this horse as well. I mean, it's never finished out of the money at this 1 mile distance. Carl Broberg, the trainer, David Cabrera, putting those two high percentage rider, high percentage trainer together. Seems like high percentage for Radiant Kitten to get the job done.
Yeah, I thought last time Radiant Kitten was sitting just off of Pirate Junction, who had a really exceptional performance that day and went wire to wire and wound up drawing off to beat October Surprise and Radiant Kitten. Radiant Kitten, though, just did not finish well at all. Put blinkers on for that race, showed good speed, but just couldn't get near Pirate Junction, especially late. And October Surprise ended up catching Radiant Kitten. That being said, Radiant Kitten's one that he's gotten just cheap enough in claiming price that he really can't run on the turf anymore. He probably belongs on the turf. I mean, some of his turf efforts have been pretty good, being by Kitten's Joy and all, but I think he could lead a long way. Still, I couldn't get him any higher than second. I took October Surprise, too. I mean, he's been racing against better. His buyer figs seem to dominate, but, the horse with the best buyers doesn't always win, and October Surprise will be overbet, but I took him over Radiant Kitten. My sleeper, if you will, in this race is Kyle's Bro Jimmy. Leandro Goncalves to ride, puts blinkers on, stretches out a bit, switches from the apprentice to a veteran rider. I think he can handle the distance. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Behind the top couple, it's a little hard. The pickings get a little slim in there. On to race number 3. Now, this is interesting because it's only the second time we've run these 2-year-olds around 2 turns. It's turf race, maiden special weights. And I'm curious to see who you go with, because who are you going with in here?
I'm going with the 5, Hearn.
Okay, good. Because Hearn, there's a lot to talk about his first trip. I'm going with Chrome King. Rick Lee likes Beyond Hello. I was afraid that I had a blind spot with Beyond Hello, who is liable to be a solid favorite because his dam, Noble Gray, was 2 for 2 in her only starts ever in her career on the turf. But I don't know. I just Beyond Hello might win, but I think he's going to be a really short price, so I'm going to try to beat him too.
Yeah, I'll take Hearn. Now, you were talking about 2-year-olds going 7.5 furlongs. Now, Dave Appleton told me this last week, I think. Did you know that 2-year-olds can't run 1 mile in the state of Texas until August the 1st?
Is that right?
That's what he told me. He said it was in the Racing Act. I said, well, you learn something new every day.
That is.
So that's pretty interesting.
That's a feather in Dave's hat that he knows that as well.
Yeah, he knows a lot. But
he does.
I don't know. We'll see if he knows how to pick these horses later on today. But I'm going to go with Hearn as my top choice here. This horse is by Gun Runner. I love Gun Runner. Seemed like he's had some progeny that have come out and
he's
done
a phenomenal young sire. He never did run on turf, though, but it remains to be seen if he's going to be a good turf sire, but he's just been a phenomenal sire of two-year-olds so far.
And so I'm going to go ahead and look at that and take Hearn as my top choice here. I mean, last time out, the horse did have one start. You know, Jim, I'm always talking about I love those horses improving from start 1 to start 2. I think this can fit the bill right here. I mean, how much worse can he get from 15
He left room for
back?
improvement, that's for sure. But
I mean, he's 14 back. He improves this time.
Yeah, and, there were some issues. He ducked in after the start. I think he got intimidated by his outside rival. He wound up in behind horses. Not easy for a 2-year-old. He was getting dirt in his face. And then it looked to me, as he was blocked on the turn, like he was wanting to get out, too. And that's what worries me about him today. If the turn was bugging him in the first race, now he's got to get around 2 of them. But I still think he can improve. I think he's a good colt. And, his dam was decent for Donnie K. von Hemel, but she was 0 for 3 on the turf. But, yeah, I mean, it's very sensible to pick her.
I'm just hoping that second start is going to show some improvement. As a matter of fact, all the 3 horses I picked in this one are the 3 that have a start. So I took Hearn on top. Beyond Hello is my second choice right here. This horse just finished 4th last time out, so improves from that one. Hits the board. And then Popeye's Heart, that's going to be my 3rd selection. I mean, that one start for this one, the horse was well beaten in the debut. But since then, I mean, check it out. Just on July the 2nd, the horse put in a workout. Was a bullet work that day, 1 of 31. So I'm thinking this horse is probably ready to go. Austin Gustafson, he can win some races with 2-year-old horses. There's no doubt about it. Sometimes in these 2-year-old races, you got to roll the dice a little bit. 8-1 morning line on Popeye's Heart. I think that's a good play here in the race.
Yeah, I was very intrigued by him because Gustafson he was part of an entry, and he was the less heralded part of the entry that day, and didn't get away very well, and then obviously dropped out of contention. But he had a low-profile rider on him. Now he picks up Ramon Vasquez, who, just won the Indiana Derby with a horse that had run here on Memorial Day. Mr. Wireless, I believe, was who did that.
That's right.
So congratulations to Ramon. The connections alone couldn't get me to pick him, but I love the work, and I love the chance that he can improve. I went with Chrome King. This is the first foal from a filly that I actually was able to call here at Lone Star. This is my 6th year, so I'm just now starting to see dams of horses that ran here my earlier years more than most. More Than Most was a multiple stakes winner, a good Texas bred, 4 for 7 on the turf. She earned about half of her money on the turf. This is her first foal, Chrome King. The works are not exceptional, but this is a 2-turn race. I don't know if you have to necessarily get exceptional works for a first-timer in this type of race, like you might look for a quicker work for a sprint. So I'm going to give a shot to Chrome King and hope that maybe the Calhoun and Rick Lee calls him Jay Bird, his assistant. Hope that magic comes to place here. I took Beyond Hello second. I mean, he is a half to a 6-time winner on the turf who made $230,000. So there's some definite turf breeding there. And then I took Hearn third. And Horse Daddy for Asmussen is going to be my 4th pick here. It's hard to leave Asmussen out of.
Yeah, it's tough to leave him out of some picks.
4th race, No Super. Scratch the 4 back shot. And the 6 Violent Behavior. David Cabrera to ride Just Ask Joel.
All right, so in this one right here, I'm on horse number 5. That's Soldier Boy. This is a J.R. Caldwell trained horse. Goncalves is getting the mount tonight. J.R. he's been winning some races the last few weeks. It seems like he's been winning some decent odds as well. Not going to get very good odds on this one. 2-1 on the morning line. A couple scratches out of this one as well. You're going to see this horse go off at a short price, I believe. Very short price. Yeah. But, Soldier Boy has had 2 starts out here at our meet so far. Finished second in both of them, and close in both of them. The first one just missed by a nose. Last one 3/4 of a length off. Was bumped in that race as well, the most recent one. One of those wins did come for this. This horse has picked up a win at this 6.5 furlong distance. You got to look way back to find that. But, if you're looking at 2020, this horse was running the Southern California scene. Yep. Santa Anita Del Mar, moved over to Arkansas, picked up a win at Oak Lawn this year at 6 furlongs. I think there's a lot to like about Soldier Boy. Second choice, I'll go with the horse on the inside rail. That's Dream on Me Baby. Asmussen and Elliott team up for this one. This horse did pick up a win 2 starts back. That was at the $15,000 non-winners of 2 level. But you know what? It came right out here at Lone Star Park. That was at a mile distance, so it's going to shorten back up. This horse hadn't been in a sprint since Keeneland of last year, where the horse ran third at the 6 furlong distance. So a little bit further than that one, but I think Dream On Me Baby can have a big race here. And then my third selection, I went with the number 2, Just Ask Joel. I mean, a second last time out for this horse. That was right out here on our track. The 2 starts before that was on the turf in both of them. Didn't perform very well in either one of those. But back to the dirt before that, a couple solid thirds at Sam Houston. I think that this horse is going to be fairly good on the dirt. 8-1 morning line. But we've got to talk about those 2 scratches again. If Soldier Boy, Dream On Me Baby takes a lot of money, maybe you can get some value out of it too.
Yeah, and the 3 as well, Cascade King, who just put up a really nice buyer in a incredible performance coming from way out of it to win in his last time out, but it was way back in May. You know, I went with Soldier Boy as well, in good form, love his style. He can lay close, he can be on the lead. I took him over Dream On Me Baby and Cascade King with Just Ask Joel fourth, but I really didn't like Backshot just off his last 2 races, and so he's a horse with, you know, some good races in his past, but he'll wait for another day. Okay, on to the 5th. Non-winners of 3. We've got 2 entries in this one. Rudy Guerra will ride the 1 Dias. Luis Quinones will ride the 2 Slutang Clan, and they'll go 1 mile.
Yeah, usually I'm a sucker for entries, especially when it's Asmussen or Carl Broberg.
Sure.
I'm always seem to be taking them, but I'm going a little bit different route. Same horse that you're on. That's the number 3, Howdy Pilgrim. I mean, this horse was a winner 2 starts back. Won that race pretty handsomely, too, about 4.5. That came right out here on our dirt track. That was a route race. We're going to see if Howdy Pilgrim can't get the job done for Ronnie Cravens here tonight. Second choice, I'm going to go ahead and take the pair of entries. That's the 2s, Slutang Clan and Sandbagger Owl. I think there's a lot to like about these horses. I mean, Slutang Clan won 2 starts back. That came out here on our track. Tried turf last time, didn't really care for it. Was going to go back to the main track. I think that sets up well for that. Sandbagger Owl, kind of the lesser of the 2, I think.
And I liked him last time, and he did absolutely nothing, which kind of surprised me.
I mean, but I'm getting 2 Broberg horses right here. I mean, I've got to put both of them in. And then I'll take the 1s as my third selection, Dias Eternal Force. I mean, Eternal Force has run third 3 times in a row. All 3 of those coming right out here on our track. So if the trend continues, it's an easy pick for third right there. But, I mean, Dias is pretty solid, too. I mean, a second 2 starts back. So you got to take a look at that race. I mean, granted, it was a short sprint race, but he did beat a next out winner in that one. So, I mean, 2 of them for the price of 1. I mean, entries galore in this one. Can't believe I didn't settle on one of those pairs of entries for my top choice. But I think Howdy Pilgrim is going to look good tonight.
He went in, and he's my top pick as well. I mean, it's fairly easy to sort of look beyond that race a couple weekends back where he was on the turf. He was well beaten. But, I mean, it was a much tougher race on the turf, higher claiming tag, everything, Perfect Star and that bunch are a lot tougher than these. And, you know, he didn't run that well, but he also wasn't horribly disgraced either, beating a little more than 10 lengths. You get him back where he belongs on his better surface. It concerns me a little bit that, you know, the 1 race he ran on the dry track, he earned a pretty low buyer fig, but that was earlier in the year. I'm going to give him a shot here because, neither of the entries really – they both factor. They just didn't really do much for me, even though I did pick Slutang Clan when he won at 10-1. But I'm going to go 3, 2, 5. I put a lot of stock in King Ford's race 2 races back when he was almost 2-1 and chased Dino's Cape around there. And then he didn't run well at all last time, and that was a much tougher race against Jack the Ripper on Memorial Day weekend, and Jack the Ripper has proven to be pretty good this meet. So back at a better level, I took King Ford third. And Collection is intriguing there because he could lead for a long way. He seems to have by far the best speed. 6th race. This is kind of a replay of a race on June 19th here, race number 5. Some of the contenders come out of that. Mile on turf, scratch the 9 King Congo, and put Richard Aramia on the 1 Pawpaw's Boy.
I'm going with the number 4 John Doe. We're on a lot of the same horses.
Yeah, we really are. We did not handicap together.
John Doe today. 2 consecutive seconds. Both of them come in 1 mile on the turf right here on our track. In both those races, the horse that finished third in that one was Pawpaw's Boy, who's going to be my second selection. That is your number one horse. Those 2/3 for him. A second before that, I think it is a horse to be reckoned with. And, I mean, Theorist isn't bad at all either. He did go off as a favorite the last 2 times and was beaten.
And he's the only 2-time winner in the whole field. Not that means a whole lot, but
I mean, hey,
everybody else is a
that's double than everybody else, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm going to go ahead and take the 1 second. And then I'll take number 2, Texas Titan, as my third selection. I think this horse can have a pretty good run at some decent odds, too. I mean, the last 4 races this horse has run in were an allowance company, was in a stakes race before that. That was the Groovy back at Sam Houston in March. But those races that the horses had out here at Lone Star have been pretty good, like I said. A third last time, a second before that, a third 3 starts back. This is going to be the first time that this horse has tried this 1 mile distance. It's going to move over to the turf as well. So some changes there. I like changes. We'll see if Texas Titan at some big odds can't get up there and finish in those exotics.
You know, we're pretty similar here. I mean, I went with John Doe over Pawpaw's Boy. My third pick is the 10 Truly Danzig. He had a really nice maiden win over this course. The Beyer Fig was well below the par that you should be able to run to win this race. But it was 2 races back. Then he came back in the John Doe race and, you know, had a wide trip. Only beaten a little less than 3 lengths. I think with a little improvement, this Mindy Willis trainee can factor. So I used him third. And Fando, who also comes out of that John Doe Pawpaw's Boy race. You know, Fando, 1 for 8 on the turf. Seems to like this mile distance. And, you know, every once in a while uncorks a rally. So if the speed backs up here, I got him as a 4th pick. On we go to the 7th. This is kind of the battle. There's 3 horses in here, the 3, the 6, and the 7 that are all dropping significantly. And you got 3 others, the 1, the 4, and the 5, that have been plugging away at lower levels but are in a little bit better form. So it's kind of like, do you like the droppers or do you like the ones in good form? 5.5 furlongs, Texas bred, non-3s.
Yeah, I'm going to take one of them that showed some good form recently. That's your number 4, Dixie Carousel. Looking at this race, I think there's some things to point out here. I think there's going to be a lot of speed in this race. I think Texas Mama, that's a lot of bling. You're going to be up there on the lead. I think it's going to set up well for Dixie Carousel. This horse seems to be able to close very well, and especially in sprint races. I mean, seeing a nice closer in sprint races, making up some ground toward the end, I think is something that I like to see. So I think Dixie Carousel, I mean, that win last time, a third before that, a second before that, all of them coming out here on our track at varying distances. I think that Dixie Carousel is going to be full of run toward the end, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this horse chase down some of those other ones and get up at the wire. Seems like more often than not the last couple of weeks I've been getting nailed by horses that seem to make up some ground. Been losing a lot of photos recently, so maybe this will turn it around. Hopefully Dixie Carousel will get up in time. 9-2, I mean, I think it's decent odds on this horse.
Sure.
Texas Mama is going to be my second choice right here. I mean, this horse has put together 2 wins in a row. Looking for number 3. When horses are rolling and they're winning, I like to see that. So it's going to be hard to count out Texas Mama in those tickets. And then my third choice, I'm going to go with the number 6 and Dancing All Alone. I mean, this horse has had a pretty good year out here so far, earned some checks, a second, a third, and a 4th. Has been able to improve that placing every time out. Taking that class drop for Dancing All Alone as well. We'll see if this filly can't get up there and earn a bigger check this time than last time, maybe.
Yeah, I'm intrigued and curious about the drop for her. You know, she was claimed at Fairgrounds 3 times in a row for $5,000. So she's about a $5,000 filly, which this level is 62.5, about the same thing. But, you know, Ron Fauché had her claimed away from him and apparently bought her back because she's run for him here this meet and run halfway decently at much higher claiming tags. So unless they don't care that she gets claimed, it's odd that they would drop her. That's why I picked against her. I went with Texas Mama. I just think she's really game. And, you know, the filly that she beat by a nose 2 races back, Constitution Girl's a pretty game filly for this level. And then, you know, she had a nice front-running score last time. I think she's going to have to chase That's a Lot of Bling or be just off of her, because That's a Lot of Bling appears to have the best speed. Freddie Manrique, by the way, to ride That's a Lot of Bling, who opened up just a monstrous lead and then blew it last time at crazy low odds. So she's kind of an easier pick against for me, but she has really dangerous speed. And Texas Mama just, to me, has a little bit more staying power. So I took her because I think she might be able to sit off of That's a Lot of Bling. And then I took Dancing All Alone and Dixie Carousel second and third. But good race. There's definitely some contenders. And Asmussen has Miss Yachty in there, who is coming off the bench. You know, I don't particularly like her, but, I mean, I think you have to kind of keep an eye on her at least. On to the 8th. Starts the late pick 4. By the way, the 6th race begins the 6-shooter today. 6-shooter on those final 6 races. $46,545 to carry over in that 6-shooter on races 6 through 11. 8th race, non-winners of 2, 7.5 on the turf. Goncalves to ride the 6. Remember Me, Tony.
Yeah, I'm on the 9-horse Gold Vermilion here. You know, this horse was a winner, broke that maiden 2 starts back that came on our turf course out here. Now, last time out, the horse finished 3rd in that race by a length and a half. Now, I went back and watched this race earlier, and it seemed like Gold Vermilion and Stuart Elliott had a ton of horse in that race. I mean, it was wide coming on the first turn. Horse tucked back into the rail, moved out, tucked back in, ended up getting blocked coming down. It looked like the horse even had to check a little bit. I think this horse was full to run, man. I think this horse could have got up there and won that race by about 3 lengths if it needed to. I'm hoping a little bit better trip is going to do this horse well. And that number 9, I think, is a solid play here in race number 8. Second choice, I'm going with the number 5 in Patriots War. I mean, it's hard to knock this horse's record at the meet so far this year. A couple thirds. That most recent race was a second, missing by just half a length. Did beat Gold Vermilion in that one, but I think once Gold Vermilion
he had
room,
significant trouble. That finish would have been a lot closer had Gold Vermilion not had trouble. Patriots War helped himself by being a little bit more forwardly placed that day. That's just his running style, though, I think.
Yeah, so what I'm looking for is kind of a switch of that one. I think that Gold Vermilion, I really like that last race, even though he got stuck in traffic. And then I'll take one that's a little bit of a shot as my third choice. That's the number 2, American Made. I mean, only 2 starts for this horse. Both of them came a long, long time ago. I mean, we're talking about 2018 at Remington Park in the fall of 2018. So this horse has been off for 2.5 years or something like that.
Going on 3.
Yeah, almost 3 years. But both of those races that the horse did have were on the turf at Remington Park. Did pick up a win in one of them, a second in the one before that. I mean, the description says driving and gaining on both of those. I mean, I know it's been a long time, but we'll see if this horse isn't ready to get back on the racetrack and drive at the end of this race and maybe get up there in the top 3.
The thing I liked about him was the trainer worked him 6 furlongs, and the last time we had a 6-furlong work, the horse went straight to the winner's circle and was 18 lengths the best, but got away bad and rallied and still won by 7, but had 10 lengths worth of trouble at the start. So that doesn't obviously equate, but I like 6-furlong works is the moral of that story. Nonetheless, you know, to me, it was very hard to separate Gold Vermilion and Patriots War just on that last race. You know, Patriots War got a better trip, but, you know, didn't hang on as well as I would have liked. But, you know, Bad Boy just came back on the 4th of July and ran a really nice race and just got nailed a zop at the end by Varnished in a race that the margin was ahead, but it didn't look that wide to the naked eye. So I think that was a really good race. Gold Vermilion had tons of trouble in the stretch. Like you say, you know, to me it was a coin flip. And I took Patriots War because I picked him last time. I'm going to try to stay with him. Shake It is really intriguing to me. That's my third pick here. I mean, this horse had a remarkable Oaklawn season, earned really high Beyer figs while rarely being within single digits of the winner at the end, and yet somehow earned these really high Beyers most of the time. If you go back to the one turf race that shows up on the form, it was a pretty good one last fall at Remington. He was 60-1 that day. Comes out of one of those typically hand-timed races at LAD that they seem to have all the time, and, you know, he ran okay in that one in a 5-horse field. He's a mystery horse to me, but he's a very intriguing one, so I've got him third. He's not going to sneak up on me, let's put it that way. 9th race. 2-year-old maiden claimers, so we're breaking in the maiden claiming ranks for 2-year-olds now, 5/8 of a mile. And these are Texas breds.
Yeah, I'm going to take number 7, Ready to Shake. Coming down here for the claiming price for the first time out of those maiden special weights, so taking a little bit of a drop. Those first 2 races for Ready to Shake were both pretty good. I mean, a 4th in the debut, a 3rd last time out. So was up there to finish into those exotic tickets. I think Ready to Shake, Steve Asmussen will have this one ready to go, and I like the drop here into the claiming ranks. Second choice, I'm going to go with number 5, Mr. Be Quiet. This is a horse that had 1 start. I talked about it before. I like from start 1 to start 2. This is another one that's coming down in for the claiming tag tonight out of those maiden special weights. We'll see if Mr. Be Quiet can't have a good run. And then I'll take the 6, Shanghai Silver, as my third choice here. Brett Calhoun always has his 2-year-olds ready to go. I mean, the horse put in a pretty solid workout on the 26th of June at 4 furlongs. I think this horse should be ready to run here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he could easily be the best. You know, I'm picking against him because, you know, Ready to Shake seems like he might be sitting on an even better performance. You know, he put blinkers on last time, showed better speed, led to the latter stages. Stan's Miracle Man, I think, is a really nice Texas-bred 2-year-old that, you know, he's in kind of tough, I think, this weekend, but Stan's Miracle Man looked really good winning that race, and I think Ready to Shake is on the improve, and any further improvement, he might be able to win this. Shanghai Silver, you know, his dam, Archer City, was a really nice filly for Calhoun. Won 4 of 9, made $117,000, was an ungraded stakes winner. This is her first foal. You know, he has every right to be good. I just kind of wonder, it took him obviously until the end of the meet to get him into a race, and they start him for a tag, even a high price tag. I kind of wonder if, you know, if he's as good as he might appear to be. So I took him second. Would be no surprise if he wins. And I took the 1 Go Start as a third pick here. First foal again for the dam, Artsy. She did break her maiden, though, at first asking way back 8 years ago at Gulfstream Park. So unearth that nugget for what that's worth. But, you know, Go Start had 1 start already, and it was not stellar. But they can get a lot better 1 start to the next. On to the 10th. Scratch the 1 Solar City, 6.5 here for Texas breds. One thing I love about this race is the 2-horse hasn't been out since December and has been gelded, adds Lasix, and puts on blinkers. That's the kitchen sink of changes. I don't think there's another change you could possibly. Is there another change? Maybe you could add goggles.
You go dirt to turf.
Yeah, you could do that. You could go dirt to turf. That's about it. Cheek pieces maybe would be a change.
Shadow roll.
You could add a shadow roll, although we don't mark that in the chart. But yeah, that's about the most changes you can have. And there was a social media post saying, hey, Euro Rockstar is running today.
Yeah, I think they were trying to sell shares on Twitter earlier. So they must think this horse is going to do really well tonight. Me, I've got Euro Rockstar picked second. I want to talk about Claim Jumper. That's going to be my top choice.
Leandro Goncalves, by the way, rides Claim Jumper.
So this horse, 2 starts, kind of illustrates that improvement from start 1 to start 2 that I talk about all the time. I mean, went from getting beat by 16 1/4 to the second time out, only losing by 2 1/4 then. So made up some good ground in that one. But Claim Jumper, you know, I think if this horse, with those 2 starts, I think this horse can come running tonight. I talk about Danny Pish horses all the time. I love those horses. I mean, this horse back in June was at Louisiana Downs. May and June was at Louisiana Downs. So I guess they thought good enough about this horse to put her on a van, or put him on a van and bring him over here to Grand Prairie. So I'm going to go ahead and take Claim Jumper as my top choice. You're a rock star, my second selection. You talked about all those changes. I love those changes. Throwing the blinkers on. If this horse had 1 start between that December of 2020 start till now, I might have even picked this horse on top. But I think this horse needs some more. I mean, June workouts were good for the horse. There's no doubt about it. And then 8, Always on the Run, is going to be my third choice here. 3 starts for this horse. All 3 of them finished third. I'm going to go ahead and keep that trend and say this horse finished third again tonight.
You know, I'm going off the cliff with Always on the Run again. I picked him last time. He was a video horse. That first race, he made a giant late move. And I thought the next time he got a little extra distance. Now, late running sprinters don't always like 2 turns. That's a decades-old handicapper's adage. You get sucked into these late-running sprinters when they go longer. You think, oh, they're going to, well, not always. But, he stretched out, and, he actually hung in that race, which it stinks to see a horse come roaring like an express train one race and then get tired and hang the next race. It's like, okay. It's like when I hook a drive and then I slice one. It's like at least pick one way that you're not going to win. But I think he prefers 1 turn. I'm going to stick with him. But, the intriguing horse to me is Rick Lee's top pick, the Hunk Next Door. I mean, this horse is going to have a conditioning edge, if only because he's been training in the 7,500-foot altitude of Ruidoso Downs and training quite well. His dam was 0 for 1 at Mountaineer. So not a lot to go by in her career. She was a $20,000 weanling purchase, the dam was, way back in 2004, and then was sold as a yearling for only $8,000. Now, I know that's totally irrelevant, but it's just odd that they lost a lot of money on that horse from a weanling to a yearling. But nonetheless, the Hunk Next Door is the intriguing one for me, kind of the X factor. And then Euro Rockstar, you got to include him. I mean, he picks up Cabrera. He drops out of Open Maidens last December to this spot. He could win. He could win by 5. He could run last. Neither of those eventualities would surprise me necessarily. Although I'd lean toward him running well. 11th and final, 5/8 of a mile, regular straight maidens. It looks to me like a 2-horse race. And, yeah, you have the same 2. But if it's anybody other than Megatap and Mr. I'll be surprised, but I've been surprised before.
Megatap's going to be my top selection here. I mean, this horse has been running some bang-up races. Last time out, just lost to Viatorum, who went on to win again after that. 2 starts back, I mean, this horse finished behind Brad's Tom, who looked impressive in that race. He's a bomb who came back to win as well. It wasn't too far behind either of those horses either time. I think Megatap, I mean, if you look back, I mean, Oak Lawn, this horse had a great meet at Oak Lawn this year, finishing second 3 times in a row. I think there's a lot to like about Megatap. I mean, that last race was on the turf for the horse. Seemed to like it well. Going to be on the turf sprinting again at this 5 furlong distance. I like Megatap. Mr. I like saying the name. I like hearing you call the name. I think this horse has some good speed, is going to get out there and lead it, try to go gate to wire, but I just think that this horse is going to get caught at the end where 2 of those 3 performances show that this horse was able to lead it most of the way around and then get caught toward the finish line. I'm looking for the same thing to happen for Mr. And then Win One Dobbs, the number 7, that'll be my 3rd selection. I mean, the horse was able to make up a lot of ground last time, finished 3rd in that race. That was a sprint on the turf. That was the first time that this horse has been on the turf course. So maybe if he liked it, he's going to put together something nice tonight and get up there and make some noise at some decent odds.
Yeah. I mean, he's certainly a reasonable. I mean, he's the pick for me for 3rd. Megatap has run second 5 times out of 7 starts, but just look who he's been running second to, especially Viatorum, who came back and just wired, as the favorite no less, a non-winners of 2 entry-level allowance field on the turf last week, and a decent field of non-winners of 2 also, and he just humbled them, and this horse ran decently well. Now, the only concern is he another 5 Dreams? Is he another horse that's going to get out there, run decently, and run a clear second and have somebody always beat him? I mean, Mr. Could potentially be the one. I mean, he is very fast, but, he's running out. Even though he's only been out 3 times, he's already running low on chances in my book. But, his last race was much better on the turf. The intriguing one to me, I used Win One Dobbs 3rd too, is Justin Spite, 4th horse. Second off a little mini layoff, ran in the Viatorum Megatap race last time, and Air Force Angel, who's in this race as well. And Justin Spite was at least forwardly placed from the inside that day, despite getting out a step slow. And he might have benefited from that, but still, to me, it's 6'10", and if it's somebody else, tip your hat to him. All right. Well, that's it. Will we see you back on Sunday? Or
not. Rick will be here Sunday. This is my last time I do the show this season, so we'll be back in the fall doing other things.
Well, thanks so much. And thanks a lot for looking in, and good luck on this Thursday.